Alright everybody, I'm gonna start today's video off with a bold assumption. I think the absolute majority of you do not recognize this woman based on this picture alone. But if I were to show you this photo instead, you might have an idea who she is because of the man next to her. The dude suffering here is Otzdarva. He's the Dead by Daylight guy. He owns 2 channels with over 1 million subs, and this chick Ev3ntic used to be his girlfriend of 5 years. Now they publicly separated last year over some quite serious allegations, and if you're not actively following Twitter drama, you are most likely completely unaware of this controversy because the YouTubers involved made some of the most bizarre decisions I have ever seen in my time online. The guy breaking the story got literally almost every single thing wrong in his video and actively engaged in victim blaming. This is one of the strangest situations I have ever covered because despite there being zero evidence for any of the claims, I still believe there's an over 90% chance the person being accused is absolutely guilty. And if you know anything about my past videos, then you'll know that me believing something without any evidence is an incredibly rare occurrence, further showing that this situation is just one of a kind insane. Like, the context here is just so bizarre. So let's get straight into Otzdarva's girlfriend Ev3ntic and her strange pattern of behavior. This is Dead by Daylight's most hated e-girl. So who is Ev3ntic? Well, she's a Twitch streamer in her 30s hailing from the beautiful country of Finland. Her real name is Niina, and most of her early online presence has been thoroughly wiped from the internet. From what I could find, she originally started producing content on the platform TikTok back when it was still called Musical.ly in 2016, and she essentially just released covers of popular songs on there.
Sound like her temperature goes to me. She's 0 degrees. She's cold. Overfreeze. I got that girl from overseas.
Now I have no idea when she stopped uploading these type of videos because everything between 2016 and 2019 has been completely deleted. But what I am certain of is that she had transitioned from producing TikTok content into streaming the video game Dead by Daylight on Twitch by mid 2019. Now somewhere during this time period she met YouTuber Otzdarva. He's of course the most popular Dead by Daylight content creator. Not only does this guy have over 2 million subs across both his channels, but his videos also regularly reach 250,000 views per upload, so he's definitely the largest content creator within the Dead by Daylight community by a long shot. Even I watched this man's tutorial videos when I first got into the game last year. Now Otzdarva and Niina started dating around the tail end of 2019, and from that point onward they would regularly feature in each other's videos. Now Niina occasionally showed up in Otz's videos as a welcome presence, but she wasn't really perceived as a core part of Otz's channel. His videos still did perfectly fine even if she wasn't there. On the other hand, due to Otzdarva having already established himself as an absolute content creator powerhouse, Niina's audience became almost exclusively dominated by Otz's fans. After all, before she started dating Otzdarva, she released content to an active viewership of less than 100 people. Therefore, once they began their relationship and Otzdarva's viewers came over to her channel, that's essentially all she was known for, being Otzdarva's girlfriend. Her content definitely relied on his presence, as almost all of her most popular videos featured or referenced Otz in some type of way. Now there have been a bunch of examples of streamers who were only known for dating some other more popular streamer, and usually there's an obvious pattern with all of them. Once their relationship inevitably ends, their audience turns on them and their careers fall off a cliff. Obviously due to the audience primarily just watching them for being that other content creator's partner. Now while these content creator ex-girlfriends usually crash and burn, it didn't have to be this way for Otz and Niina. In all honesty, if they managed to keep their relationship afloat, they could have just been seen as this wholesome European streamer couple in their 30s without any issues, and they did maintain that image for almost half a decade, and 5 years of being in a public streamer relationship without any controversy is honestly quite impressive, considering these relationships usually last about as long as Boogie2988 during a marathon. But at the end of the day, it did all come crashing down for Ev3ntic on July 4th, 2024. Now, a small streamer going by the name of LelasaurusRex dropped a Google Doc on Twitter, and he captions the tweet with, "This post is about my experience with Ev3ntic Niina. I've been wanting to get this off my chest for a while, and it is very personal and has affected me a lot, but please do not bother anyone mentioned, and thank you for taking the time to read it." Now, this is the exact moment Ev3ntic Ev3ntic's reputation took a complete nosedive into the Mariana Trench as she gets accused of sexual harassment in this document. But before we get into the meat and potatoes of this doc, there's one important aspect we need to cover first. Now, there's two reasons for these allegations never having been picked up by any bigger YouTubers. One, the guy that broke the story onto the commentary community got almost everything wrong in this video, which we will get to later. And two, the author of the Google Doc demanded that people do not make videos about his accusations. He starts off the doc with, "Please don't make reaction content or drama videos about this subject." And he ends the whole thing with, "Please do not treat this as gossip or scandal. Don't make content on it. We just want to protect people from it continuously happening and move on." So Rex released a document onto Twitter publicly accusing another content creator of sexual harassment, yet he demands that people do not share it, do not react to it, and just move on. Now, I will give Rex some charitability here because as a victim of sexual harassment about to publicly speak out, he probably experienced a lot of distress, which caused him to act irrationally here. So I'm not gonna shit on him too much for this. But it absolutely needs to be stated that this does make absolutely no sense. There's two ways you could go about speaking out against a content creator as a victim. Either you go straight to the police and to the other creators directly involved, or you reveal your accusations publicly in order to make as many people as possible aware that X content creator is a harasser, doxer, or whatever. Now, Rex has gone for the public route here. He decided to come forward, so at that point there's no turning back. You should want people to talk about it so that every single person in the community realizes Niina, aka Ev3ntic, is a terrible human being. This is how people actually suffer repercussions for their actions. YouTubers talking about accusations and drawing more eyes to a person's wrongdoing more often than not leads to that person actually losing their career. This is what happened with Minilad, for example. The initial Twitter allegations did very little to damage his brand, but YouTubers continuously talking about his wrongdoing eventually directed enough negative attention to his channel for his reputation to become unsalvageable. The continued exposure of Minilad's evil actions to the broader YouTube audience played a key part in his downfall. This is why it's important to talk about this stuff and get the word out there. Therefore, you absolutely cannot demand that people ignore your allegations. Now, the community predominantly expressed two different sentiments regarding Rex's demands. Pretty much all the Dead by Daylight people adhered to his wishes because they didn't want to step on any toes, which wasn't ideal because I definitely would have preferred them to inform their respective audience that one of their former associates has been exposed as a horrible human being, but there's nothing inherently wrong with just not getting involved. Now, what I feel like is definitely wrong is actively disregarding the accusations and writing them off as false because of the victim's unusual demands, which is what Harmful Opinions, the guy who broke the story onto the commentary community, ended up doing. But to properly understand how badly Soyjack Keemstar over here fucked up the situation, we have to thoroughly read through the document first. In May 2023, me and Niina became good friends. Niina was made aware that I'm not in the best financial position and bragged to me that she had $200,000 in savings and could help me out. She offered to buy me in-game cosmetics in exchange for naked Snapchat pictures. I did not want to receive these. Now, if true, this is obviously criminally horny behavior by Niina, but what interests me most here is whether or not Rex told her that he did not want to receive any pictures. I think that's really the most important factor here. He then continues, "She would also start conversations by asking me how I'm doing and if I was just okay or struggling. She would send unsolicited and unwanted half-naked pictures or videos in reply. I had just turned 20 at the time, she was over 30. This made me feel extremely uncomfortable and I withdrew from the friendship and group." Now again, it's almost necessary for me to know whether Ray told her he didn't want these pictures or whether he reacted either neutrally or positively towards them and kept his disdain for Nina's actions to himself, because that would massively impact my overall perception of this situation. But another aspect I want to get into is the age gap. Now, I would not define it as actively harmful for a woman in her 30s to sexually engage with a 20-year-old, but it is still weird to me. Like, I just turned 20, and if a 32-year-old woman made sexual advances toward me, that would definitely weird me out quite a bit. So that does make Niina come across as quite strange here. Anyway, he then claims she sent several unsolicited pictures that were never asked for or welcomed by myself. These inappropriate pictures were all taken at Oz/Alex's house while they were both still in a happy unhappy relationship. Alex had no idea what was happening at the time. Now this is the true bombshell here. All of this allegedly happened behind Otzdarva's back, meaning Ev3ntic actively cheated on Otzdarva by sending inappropriate pictures to a person over a decade younger than her, if the allegations are true. Now the doc reads, I recently spoke to Alex about my experience, and when Niina was confronted about this over the phone by Alex, she lied about it again continuously. I'm going public about this to protect further victims and speak out against sexual harassment and abuse of power. I'm really grateful to Alex for his sympathies and request that anyone reading this does not go to his Twitch or YouTube to pester or make a big deal. He is also a victim here. Do not message Niina. We all hope she gets the help she needs to stop hurting people continuously. Now, I'm not a big fan of this don't message Niina thing, because I would be inclined to give her a chance to defend herself, considering that there is no evidence attached in this doc. But the most important sentence of this section is, he is also a victim here. Just scratch the also part. I believe Otzdarva should be seen as the only confirmed victim here, because I believe that Niina definitely cheated on him with other men despite the lack of evidence. I am basing this off Otz's response to the document, because he replied confirming that everything said is 100% true and did verify that this is the reason his relationship with Ev3ntic ended. Plus 2 more content creators also replied to further corroborate that the allegations are in fact correct. Even though this guy here isn't exactly trustworthy, I still believe that this has to at the very least confirm that Niina did try to cheat on Otzdarva with Rex. Because the alternative option just wouldn't make any sense. If Niina absolutely had zero guilt and didn't do any of the things she's getting accused of, it would mean that there's 4 content creators with no real relation to each other collectively pushing false claims of sexual harassment against her just to bully her off the platform. Now I could maybe entertain this idea if the roles were reversed. If Niina owned multiple million sub channels, then there would be an incentive to go after her for profit. But Niina isn't that popular, she's just Otzdarva's girlfriend. If Otz wanted her out of the picture, he could just break up with her privately. There would be no reason to falsify allegations. So considering all of these content creators here would have to be cartoonishly evil if Niina were to be completely innocent here, I think it's fair to say that despite the lack of evidence, Niina definitely tried to cheat on Otzdarva. But unfortunately, I am not able to 100% verify that Rex is a victim too at this moment in time. Because the way I see it, there's 2 possible ways this could have gone. Either Rex vehemently showcased his disdain of the pictures he received and Niina just kept on sending them anyway, which would make Niina a serial sexual harasser and obviously result in Rex indisputably being a victim of sexual harassment. But since there's always 2 sides to any story, it could also be possible that Rex didn't actively voice his disapproval of these pictures and did not outright reject Nina's advances. Now, because they were quote good friends beforehand, I am willing to at least consider the possibility that Rex's lack of rejection could have led to Niina thinking that they were flirting, taking their friendship into the next level, and that he enjoyed receiving these images, which would just make Niina an obvious cheater but not an outright sexual harasser, because it could be argued that she believed Rex was into it since he did not deny her advances. We have to at least consider this as an option as well, but in any case Otzdarva is definitely a victim of cheating and Niina 100% shared sexual images with Rex. In my opinion, due to the obvious lack of evidence, these are the only 2 reasonable conclusions you could walk away with from this situation. However, one person who would disagree with me here is the YouTuber Harmful Opinions, who brought this story onto the commentary community's radar. Now, Harmful Opinions is a commentary YouTuber with over 30k subs who markets himself as a controversial, no bullshit type of creator, sharing his honest, unbiased opinions on current events. Now, I will say, unlike most people I cover, this guy definitely isn't grifting or pandering to anyone. He does actually give his brutally honest takes regardless of the popular narrative, which I do respect, but at the end of the day, that's the only positive aspect about his online presence. There's only so much praise I can give you for your honesty if your brutally honest opinion ends up just being mind-bogglingly nonsensical. Now, Harmful Opinions became aware of the drama surrounding Ev3ntic and he sent a reply to the callout post. So sorry this happened to you, or congratulations, or whatever, I ain't reading that. Well, he does appear to have changed his mind, because he then released a video on the situation where he took Ev3ntic's side and ridiculed the possible victim for over 20 minutes.
Please don't make reaction content or quote-unquote drama videos. about this subject. Not just don't read this, do not discuss this. I am going to publish media into the world for a global audience. Don't talk about it. Yourself.
Listen, I understand he wants to be seen as ignorant and edgy. I really get it. I am kind of ignorant and extremely mean to people too in some of my videos, but I don't think it's okay to just immediately start your video by telling the potential sexual harassment victim to go fuck himself. At that point, you are showing that you do not actually care at all about the situation you're talking about. It's fair to criticize Rex for releasing an exposed document and then expecting people to not reference it in any way. Not only does that defeat the purpose of him posting it in the first place, but it's also just extremely nonsensical. But can you not at least show this guy some sympathy? I mean, he was about to come forward as a sexual harassment victim of the, at the time, most powerful female content creator in the DBD community. I think it's fair to assume Rex must have been under immense distress, therefore it's to be expected that he might not have the best decision making due to his unique circumstances. So I really don't agree with writing off this document entirely just because of his "don't talk about it" demand. Now, before I get into harmful opinions actual arguments, I need to get something out of the way. I don't like it when people try to relate everything to the other sex when talking about gender related issues. Usually whenever there's a controversy involving something gender related, there are always certain people commenting, well, what if a man did this? Or women have this problem too. And I am not a fan of that. I think it's unproductive conversation and it typically distracts from the actual important talking points. But with this situation, I'll make an exception. I want everyone for just a second to imagine that genders are reversed here. Imagine a guy in his 30s got accused of sending inappropriate images to a 20-year-old woman, and now listen to harmful opinions talking about this situation.
You're talking like a child abuse victim. You're an adult man who got sent lewds. Mom, help! This woman online sent me her tits. Ah! We want to protect you from continuously receiving lewds. Shut up.
The only reason this guy is saying all of this is cause it's a man accusing a woman of sexual harassment. If the roles were reversed and a man were to send explicit pictures to a woman unprompted, his opinion would change completely. He'd be strongly condemning this. His take is by definition sexist. He only holds these beliefs because of the stereotypical gender roles that are at place here. And I know for sure his thought process must have been like, well, I would have enjoyed receiving nudes from a 30-year-old woman as a 20-year-old. Therefore, this person must be overreacting and there's no wrongdoing here. And a lot of people hold this opinion on social media. Whenever a female teacher gets accused of sleeping with one of her students, there will always be a bunch of people commenting something like, this would have been my dream as a kid. And I'm not gonna sit here and say that opinion is evil. If you truly feel this way, I'm not gonna tell you that you have to change your mind, but I will say it's absolutely unacceptable if you then invalidate other people's feelings on the matter. It's one thing to say, I would have loved this, but taking it a step further and claiming that there's no issue here and that there's no victim just because you feel like you would have enjoyed this is just completely wrong in my opinion. Like, not to be on the nose here, but that's definitely a harmful opinion. I think harmful opinions is stubbornly forcing his views upon Rex, and he's completely unable to see past his bias and just consider for a second that maybe not everyone likes receiving nude images from women completely unprompted. I just don't think it's fair to say men sending nude images to people is harassment, but when women engage in the exact same behavior, it's suddenly perfectly fine, and everyone complaining about it is a loser. Like, that is a horrible mindset to have in my opinion. Anyway, before I rip into this guy any further, most of you watching aren't actually subbed to the channel, so if you're enjoying these investigative commentary videos, please subscribe, it would absolutely mean the world to me. Anyway, back to harmful opinions, terrible takes.
This motherfucker's gonna make the few women men online can get titty pics from scared to send titty pics. This man is evil.
Listen, I don't know what the fuck Ozempic Kaiser the Bard is on about here, but I feel like it's absolutely ludicrous that he's taking Ev3ntic's side here. I mean, it's still entirely possible that Rex didn't actually tell Niina that he didn't want to receive these pictures, but even if that's the case, Niina would have still actively cheated on Otzdarva by sending all these images to Rex. It's still something that should be called out. If anything, publicly outing someone for cheating on their significant other and destroying their career in the process could actively encourage encourage potential cheaters to, well, not cheat and just break off the relationship instead. So I really don't see an issue with Rex sharing his story and posting the doc. Now someone in his Twitch chat challenged his take and he provided the worst response possible.
Even if that guy said, no more titty pics, if she sent him another titty pic, it was still just a titty pic. How about that? That's the flip side of that. She didn't rape his asshole.
So this guy is saying that even if you as a man actively tell a woman that you do not want to receive nude images from her anymore and then she sends you more anyway, that's still not an issue and not even sexual harassment. You have to be actively raped by women to be able to claim sexual harassment. Yeah, midlife crisis Voldemort here is just coming in with the worst take of the year. Listen, if I were to send nude images to a woman and she vehemently tells me to stop and then I send her more anyway, that would 100% be sexual harassment. I don't think a single reasonable person would disagree with me here. So just because the gender roles are reversed in the situation, it suddenly becomes okay, it's not sexual harassment anymore. That is a complete horseshit take, and I cannot believe that Harmful Opinions video got any support at all. It really felt like he just got so personally offended at Rex telling people not to make content about his document that he impulsively decided to actively engage in victim blaming instead of getting this story anywhere. Now unfortunately, because Harmful Opinions essentially told everyone that these allegations are completely false, no other commentary channel decided to look into this and all the DVD people just ignored the situation as per Rex's request. And therefore the story just lay dormant for 8 months and most people remained completely unaware of what's actually going on with Ev3ntic. She did leave the internet after this, but obviously she gave no explanation as to why. In all of this, I just personally feel extremely bad for Otz. He does come across as a relatively sweet guy in my opinion, so it's a shame that he had to go through all of this. And also, of course, if Rex really told Niina to stop and she kept on going anyway, I do believe he's a victim in all of this too, and I hope he's doing better now. But in any way, I definitely feel like Harmful Opinions publicly slandered Rex and he fucked up the story massively through his stubbornness. So I usually don't like to engage in these things, but I'm gonna make an offer here to the people involved. It seems like there's evidence for a lot of the claims here, but no one is willing to go forward. So Rex, if you're seeing this and you agree with my take that Harmful Opinions slandered you and you've got the evidence to further prove it beyond a shadow of doubt, then my Twitter DMs are always open. If you send me proof, I will make another video and show to everyone that you were in fact sexually harassed by this woman, and the same goes for the other side. If Niina has evidence showing that Rex actually wanted these images, she could DM it to me and I would show it too. I want to blow this case wide open because I do feel like there's so much untapped information available here that could potentially shut up people like Harmful Opinions once and for all. But of course, if everyone just wants to leave this in the past, that's alright too. My Twitter DMs remain open regardless, just like my new Discord server I just created. If we hit 2k subs, I'll open up my brand new Discord server to the public, and we even got the homie Mosh Baby as a member, meaning if you join the Discord, you can spam ping him as much as you like. That is a once in a lifetime opportunity. So go sub to the channel if you enjoyed and want to support the Discord, like the video, follow me on Twitter, write your opinions down below, and I will see you in the next